Yes,
Perhaps you could say Zsa Zsa Gabor is the Brent Musburger of show business. Everywhere you look, there she is, in court for slapping a cop in the misdemeanor trial heard around the world, in a flap with an airline over her pet dogs, being called on to block in reruns of Hollywood Squares. And as Lisa Gibbons tells us in today's Inside Story, Zsa Zsa always finds time for romance.
Zsa Zsa Gabor has been what the media calls good copy for over 5 decades. She attracts cameras as readily as she attracts, well, husbands. To date, she's had 8 of them, a few like hotelier Conrad Hilton and actor George Sanders, Zsa Zsa wrote about in her first autobiography. But one book isn't big enough to contain a larger-than-life life like Zsa Zsa's. So she's writing another autobiography. Count on its pages to burst with big names.
Oh my God, this includes the Duke of Wellington, the Duke of Marlborough, the Queen of England. Well, I know everybody. Grace Kelly was my best friend who imitated me. So all the little stories and letters from President Nixon, 10 letters from President Nixon, from Henry Kissinger.
Among the names Zsa Zsa has counted as friends, John F. Kennedy. She says she dated him when he was a bachelor congressman.
I went with Mr. Kennedy, the President of the United States, and he never even asked me to sleep with him. And he slept with almost all my girlfriends I know, but he had some respect.
Let's just back up here a minute. You had a relationship with John Kennedy.
Not a relationship. He took me out. He was a date. He was a date for 6 months. He took me 21. He took me to theaters, which he never waited for the second act, which used to drive me out of my mind. He ate chocolates. All his pockets was full of this cheap little chocolate bar. 21, only ice cream. He took me out 6 months. I was his favorite date. He never once asked me to sleep with him.
Veteran Hollywood writer James Bacon was to have helped Zsa Zsa write her second book. He remembers what she said about Kennedy differently.
I do recall several quotes she did give me. She said that Jack Kennedy was a great lover, but Nixon was a better president. She is a Republican, you know.
You know Jim Bacon, we all know him. Well, he only wanted to write that Jack Kennedy and I slept together. I says, Jim, I love you dearly and I adore you all my life, but I never slept with Jack Kennedy. He says, well, then let's say you slept with him. I said, well, why? Why should I say something was not true? And we broke up account of Jack Kennedy.
I hate to say that she's lying, although she said I was lying, but Zsa Zsa maybe is not a liar, but she has a history of altering the facts.
And Bacon says there were other problems with her book.
Her agent, a fellow by the name of Al Lohman, called me up one morning and from New York and said, we know what kind of a woman we're dealing with here, don't we? And I said, yeah. And he says, Zsa Zsa would like to tell her life story through the eyes of her dogs. And I said, in that case, I'll bow wow out.
That's a bull. I told him once I want to write, and I will write a book called The Dogs in My Life, but the publisher said, you can't, about my dogs in my life. I have lots of wonderful stories of mine. And the publisher said, you can't do that because people will think you talk about the husbands in your life.
Zsa Zsa's current husband, number 8, is Prince Frederick von Anhalt, and she continues to make headlines. Her latest cause, which has brought the cameras back, is the environment. In the name of clean air, Zsa Zsa shares the stage with a creature named Woodsy Owl. And just to set the record straight, Zsa Zsa and Woodsy are just friends. Lisa Gibbons, Entertainment Tonight.
Thank you, Lisa. On our Inside